Thank you, Tim, and good afternoon, everyone. So, promoting cardboard to the consumer. As Tim says, you've all heard from me, or many of you will have heard from me before. Going back 6, 8, maybe even 10 years, we've had a promotional campaign which was historically to go out to the trade customer, to go out through the trade media. And we had some relatively modest targets, which we always exceeded. And in the end, at the end of 2017, we decided to change the programme and do something different. Alan, you told me this was working.
Press the button. Do you want me to do it for you?
Yeah. Yes, please. You can move on, please, Alan. Thank you. So we all know why it's so important to promote cardboard now. This was May 2018. Blue Planet. Sir David Attenborough, and he woke the world up to the dangers of marine litter. In an extraordinarily prescient moment, the Corrugated Council of the CPI decided in December 17 that the idea would be to go out and influence the consumer. We were several months into our planning when Sir David Attenborough came along and said, "Do you know what? Plastics is a problem." Thank you, Alan. Marvellous, marvellous. So, from January 2018 onwards, through all of last year and through all of this, we've been seeking to promote the positive messages of cardboard to the consumer. And as John Clark has already mentioned, it's cardboard. I've had discussions with chief execs on my board of directors who say, well, we call it corrugated. If you call it anything but corrugated, you get chucked out of the factory. Fair enough. But we're not talking about your employees. We're talking about 60 million people out there who only recognise cardboard. So we're building a brand image, and we're now beyond the box. We're looking for very simple, clear messages. And when I sat down with a PR agency with what I thought was simple and clear, their eyes glazed over. It has to be a lot clearer and a lot simpler than we're used to in industry terms. We always need a media hook. You can't just go to the BBC and say, Barnetson would like to tell you about the recycling of cardboard. That does not get you on the BBC. That does not get you on national radio. You need a media hook. You need the bright ideas of the agency to get involved. And as you can see up there, once again, it's cardboard. It's not corrugated, it's not carton board, it's not paper packaging, it's cardboard. And my grand plan is that we'll build together with perhaps John Clark and BPIF Cartons leading the educational and perhaps CPI leading this programme to the consumer, and we will build a greater programme of promotional activity because now is the time. And if I've said it's CPI leading, I take that back. It is a joint programme. We're delighted that Sheep Plant Association is contributing, both in terms of time, personnel, and financially to the programme. So this is very much a joint cardboard industry project. So that's us. We're at cardboard.org.uk. If you haven't gone there, please do. We are driving traffic to that website, and as I'll explain in a few minutes, being quite successful at it. There's our logo. So we are beyond the box. We're cardboard.org.uk, and if you remember nothing else I've said today, please remember that. So we launched in 2018, and for the first few months of 2018, I went on an extraordinarily steep learning curve. And I've said some of this to you before, back at the January meeting. 2018 taught me that you cannot just get up and running without some planning if you want to introduce yourselves to the consumer. You have to have brand image, you have to identify your messages, you have to have research and media hooks, and you have to have launch to the public. So it was really June before we got up and running. Good timing, because it was May when Sir David Attenborough said, wake up, plastic is a problem. And then in June we launched. We couldn't really have asked for much better timing. Parliamentary launch in Westminster, and many of you will have seen that picture. It happened that the launch was on the 6th of June, so we commissioned a bust of Winston Churchill. Topical, given it was 6th of June, controversial, but it got people talking about our launch. Through the latter half of last year, we had a whole range of social media activity. Zanna Van Dyke on the right, who has 238,000 followers on Instagram. We commissioned her to talk well about cardboard. We commissioned a whole load of smaller media influencers, and we had a video for Recycling Week. And if you can see the picture on the left, you may recognise Max McMurdo, TV celebrity upcycler, and he did a short video for us, and that was picked up by about 120 regional newspapers in this country, and the exposure was tens of millions. The potential reach through last year, 36 million people. Corrugated Council and CPI said to me, do what we're not good at. As you all know, the CPI has some big member companies, we've got some big budgets within those companies, teams of people trying to get out to reach the customer, and I was told, go out and do what we're not good at. Win over hearts and minds. Well, we've got a long way to go yet, but potential reach last year, 36 million. Delighted to say we've gone well ahead of that this year. Quarter 1, 2019, new year, new you, new sustainable you, a picture story. That, some of you have seen this as well, I presented earlier in the year, that's the Greek god Atlas, the world on his shoulders. To the consumer, if you feel like you've got the weight of the world on your shoulders, if you don't know what to do, we're cardboard, we're the good guys, we're the ones you can recycle. You can always recycle cardboard. Everybody has the opportunity to recycle cardboard at curbside. For the very few who don't, you can take it to your local centre. We all can, we all should recycle. That got a lot of pickup. We were in The Guardian, The Evening Standard, Scottish Sun, potential audience 100 million people. Quarter 1, just a quarter of the way into the year, potential audience 100 million. Now, we don't actually know how many of the 100 million people saw that. That's clearly more than the population of the country. Does it mean everyone in the country saw it twice? No, of course it doesn't. I don't want to ask for a show of hands as to how many people saw that in the paper, because I know what response I'm going to get. But it's out there. And we did get a big reach, and a lot of people will genuinely have seen it. Potential reach, quarter 1, first of 2 projects, quarter 1, 100 million people. Second project, quarter 1, social media influencers. 15 social media influencers who have 5, 6, 8,000 followers each. We asked each of them to post twice their own personal experiences of cardboard. And these are some of the pictures we got, unpacking, kids playing with it, being able to recycle it. All 15 posted twice. They all posted positively. We didn't tell them what to say. We said, here are some facts about cardboard. Here are things you might choose to say. But the point with social media influencers is they say what they choose to. All 15 of them posted twice. All 15 of them posted positively. Potential reach, if you can see in the middle there, 330,000. Now that's slightly different from the 100 million, not just numerically. The 100 million is 100 million people who may have seen. That's 330,000 people who did see. We have much better control when you're talking social media influencers and the number of people who engaged and reacted to the posts. Delighted to have been involved in the FEFCO Influencers Day. We're lucky to have the Director General of FEFCO here, who will be speaking later. And I don't know if Angelica's going to be speaking about the Influencers Day. That then was just a chance for some influencers to come over to Brussels to learn about the Parliament system, to see a corrugating factory, to learn much more about cardboard in general. Again, it's all the same positive promotional messages, and we were able to send some of those social media influencers who were involved in the project I've just mentioned, and they went over, and those names, at Running Wild and Free, Hey It's Rebecca, and so on, they all posted, not just with our project, but also following the FEFCO work. Into quarter 2, we started to explore some trade media work. Now, I said a moment ago that we started with trade media, and by and large we've moved away from it. We're including some trade media in this. The majority of the work is consumer focused, but some trade media, and alongside BPIF cartons, we recognised that the grocer is the place to be. So we had a letter in the grocer. I can give you a copy of that if you'd like it. I won't dwell on the details now. But that got out not just to their print magazine, but onto their website as well. So it's starting to become a programme of lots of different complementary projects, and we're learning what works. Also, quarter 2, beyond the trade media, consumer research. Do you recycle as much when you're on holiday? Answer, no. People's environmental sustainability habits, they go downhill. People don't recycle as much. So we built a press release. We built a story. And you can see we got in to the National Sun newspaper. Now, it's only a few words in there, but we've got beyond the box. The audience of the Sun readership potentially have seen beyond the box. Now, it's not a recycling message. It's not cardboard is the greatest. It's not cardboard has the highest recycling rate. You can't always get that in, but they've mentioned the beyond the box. If people search beyond the box, that should lead them to our website. We're not the only beyond the box out there. We're working hard on the search engine optimization to make sure that we get up the Google rankings, but potentially anyone who read The Sun that day can follow through and find our details. One other thing to note, bottom left, if you can read it, our trade media story in the Grocer was picked up by the Metro, London free newspaper. Circulation 1.5 million, online 32.7 million. So our trade media piece in the Grocer was picked up by Metro. Their website has a reach of 32 million. So we're adding big numbers. Once again, we don't know how many people really did see it, but if it's 1% of 1%, we've got out to people we never would have reached otherwise. Social media Q2. Something that was a new term for me, dark posting. If you have Facebook or Instagram account, and if you see a post pop up, essentially an advert, that's dark posting. We don't yet have a social media Twitter account. We don't have a Facebook page. We'll probably go into that next year, but we have been dark posting. And we planned to reach 15,000 people each month once we got up and running. We planned we'd have an engagement rate of 2%. May not sound much, but industry average is about 1.5%. So we wanted to be ahead of that 1.5% with 2%. As you can see, we didn't reach 15,000 people a month. Across that period, just snapshot July and August, we reached 105,000 people each month. We are way ahead of our social media targets. That actually caused me some embarrassment because when I sat down in front of my chief execs and said, look how well we've done, they said, yeah, if we exceeded our budgets by that much, we'd be asking questions about why the budget was set so low in the first place. So we need to think about it all, but we're well ahead of where we wanted to be, and that's a great thing. 1,063 clicked through to our website just in that 2-month period. So we're driving people to the website, and that's where all our key messages are, and that's where people hear cardboard, highest recycling rate, cardboard, renewable, cardboard, sustainable, so on and so forth. Into Q3, now the current activity that only took place a couple of weeks ago, a radio day. Again, you need the media hooks if you're going to get out to the consumer. So consumer research Q3 was, what about peer pressure? Are you more likely to recycle if your friends are watching? If your boss is watching at work? To the millennials, would you date someone who doesn't recycle? And interestingly, 21% of millennials would not date someone who doesn't recycling. Guess what? Not recycling is the new smoking. It's not to be done. You must recycle. These sort of media hooks get people's attention. And of course, behind it all, our key message that cardboard has the highest recycling rates. My job to make sure that last one gets in when the earlier points of the hook. So we sat down with Dr. Becky Spellman, top celebrity psychologist. Dr. Spellman does these sort of radio days all the time. She sat down in the radio studio, very used to it. I got the chance to sit next to her, and over the course of 5 or 6 hours, we did 14 radio interviews. The interviewers wanted to hear from Dr. Spellman, tell us about peer pressure, tell us about recycling, and she brought in all the technical psychology. And then I jumped in and said, and we're here for Beyond the Box. We're here to tell you that cardboard's recyclable, and I had all my facts ready at the fingertips. So by the end of half a day, 1.25 million people, again, potential, we don't know how many people are actually listening, but potentially 1.25 million people heard me say cardboard is the sustainable packaging material. Looking ahead to the Q4, which of course we're in now, before the end of this year, boxes to celebrities, boxing up Christmas. You may recognise some of the faces down the right. These sort of celebrities who are very high profile on social media. We're going to send them boxes. We're going to say, think about your Christmas shopping. It doesn't have to go in a plastic bag. It can go in a cardboard box. We'll get some boxes made up with a Beyond the Box logo, so on and so forth. And we'll send the boxes through to those 15 celebrities, including these 3. No guarantee how they'll react. It may just fall into a black hole, but all it takes is for one of them. If Stacey Dooley, top right, picks that up. She won Strictly Come Dancing last year. Some of you may have watched it. Strictly Come Dancing, of course, running again now. If the papers pick up on the fact that Stacey Dooley told her followers cardboard is great, bingo, we could hit millions and it could be a big story. We never know how it's going to go. It's a bit of a gamble, but it's a gamble well worth taking. So, to conclude, we have deliberately gone with a wide range of activity this year. 4 quarterly projects, exploring social media, exploring trade media. We're looking at what works this year. We very much plan to go ahead with a similar programme next year, and we hope for even better results. Thank you.